Drag the correct function to each graph. Study the graphs carefully. Now comparing the different functions here, it's like they all have the same slope. In other words, there's an invisible 1 in front of all the square root signs. The only thing that changes is the starting point, and that's determined by the number with the x or the number outside of the square root symbol. So the starting point for this one, the x-coordinate, well, let's see. It's going to be x minus 2. Remember, that has to be greater than or equal to 0 for the domain. So x is greater than or equal to 2 when you solve it. And that means the starting point for the x is going to be 2. Now for the y, invisible 0. So y greater than or equal to 0. And what that means is your starting point is going to be 2, 0. So you want to find a graph that starts at 2, 0. And that's this one. Let me number these real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this first guy is going to go with graph number 2 because it starts at 2, 0. Right there. Now the next one, you can use the same thought process. This one's going to be x plus 2 greater than or equal to 0. Subtract 2 and get x is greater than or equal to negative 2. That's the domain. And the range, you have the invisible 0, so it's going to be y is greater than or equal to 0. Starting point has to be negative 2 and 0. So where's the graph that starts at negative 2 for x, 0 for y? That's graph number 4. So 4 goes here. The next graph is going to be for the domain x is greater than or equal to 0, and the y is going to be greater than or equal to negative 2 because of the negative 2 after the radical symbol. So we want the graph that starts at 0, negative 2. So that would be graph number 3. Let me go ahead and circle that. Last one. Y equals square root of x plus 2. Well, the x is by itself in the radical sign, so x is greater than or equal to 0 is the domain. And for the range, it's y greater than or equal to positive 2. So the graph is going to start at 0, 2. So 0, 2, that's this one right here. It starts at 0, 2, graph number 1. Alright, so there's a good strategy working with a multiple choice situation or matching. Take a look at the equations, find the domain and the range, and then compare the graphs to see which one goes with which function.